Welcome, everyone, to the Tethys Shipyard. I am Takeshi Yamato, the Art Master, joining our host, the Housecoat Gamer.
Yo.
Today we are taking a look, we are doing a primer vid on the Tholians.
This is... Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Before we begin, I will mention that Star Trek Adventures has two Tholian starships as NPC vessels in their Alpha Quadrant sourcebook. Once we get the lore out of the way, I can go over those two. Once we get the general lore out of the way, we can go over those two ships. And maybe a third if we want to cover fan material, because someone from the Continuing Mission blog, ELH, put together a compendium of all the stuff he's made for STA over the past few years. He made it like a couple year or two ago, and it includes a campaign dealing with the Tholians and includes stats for the Tholian Recluse from STO.
However, I am of the opinion that Gamma material should go straight to hell. However, while this is a fan game, it does include quite a bit of official material. Mostly licensed. Every single ship you see here actually comes from Klingon Academy.
Huh.
That's right. Absolutely none of these are fanon. Well, except maybe the Citrine Monitor, but we'll discuss that later. Anyway, the Tholians as a species are relatively unknown, other than the fact that they live on Class Y style planets, Venusian. Because, well, they are literally living rocks.
Yeah.
However, there is a postulation that the Tholians, as we know them, may actually come from the Andromeda Galaxy.
Yeah, and then there's my own personal thought regarding the Tholians, that they don't come from any galaxy that we know of. Instead, my personal thought is that the Tholians come from an interdimensional nexus, a place between universes.
Something somewhat supported by the latest STO work.
Yeah. And it would explain why they were... it would explain how they deal with... it would explain some of their appearances in both regular Star Trek and in the Mirror Universe in A Mirror Darkly.
We are going to continually mock Kurtzman for ignoring that.
Yeah.
Or for trying to use it to suit his own ends. Either or.
Yeah. Anyway. So, yeah, that's my personal belief. Tholians come from a multi-dimensional nexus to the point where they mastered interdimensional travel before they even mastered warp drive. So, if you want to... quick note to anyone who is a fan of Star Trek and any other fandom, if you want to make a Trek crossover without doing the standard Starfleet, try bringing the Tholians in. It would make sense.
It would also not end well for the poor bastards on the other end. Remember, Starfleet has a hard time with the Tholians. And if Starfleet's having a hard time with the Tholians, anyone else is screwed. Just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Now, back to the lore. Yeah. In this case, the Tholians were involved in the final stages of the ISE War of Pacification, and decided to go, yeah, we're just gonna conquer you all. This forced every side to actually unite against them, and push them back to a staging point deep in the Tholian assembly, where a fleet of Federation starships, alongside, pretty much everyone else except for the Klingons, who were in the middle of an Ormong at the time, launched something called the Andromeda Strike. You can guess how that ended.
Yeah.
The Tholians were cut off from Andromeda forever. They're not happy about it.
Yeah.
Regardless, the designs you see here are mostly a combination of Milky Way Tholian and, in some cases, Andromedian Tholian.
Yeah.
Neo-Tholian, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. And I will also mention that in the 24th century, relations with the Tholians were a bit more, well, semi-friendly. I mean, apparently a Tholian ambassador owed Captain Benjamin Sisko a favor, such that he was able to get a Tholian silk scarf for Cassidy Yates in Way of the Warrior. So, yeah.
Regardless, weapons and generals.
Right. Okay. I will go over the specifications for the Tholian Spinner and Weaver. Those are the two starships in the STA Alpha Quadrant book.
And will serve as the basis for every single boat you see here. Because
Right.
the Feldspar, the ship I'm focusing on, is more or less just a spinner. Different colors.
Yeah. The Spinner is a Scale 2 starship. It has... I will not go over the overview and capabilities. That would just be extra lore. It does say the Spinner is approximately the same size as a Federation Danube-class runabout, and even more agile. Anyway, so Scale 2. Its systems values are Comms 5, Computers 5, Engines 8, Sensors 7, Structure 5, Weapons 5, and its department value... And it has Command 1, Con 2, Security 2, Engineering 1, Science 1, and Medicine 1. So, I think they did a little bit of Starship rules for the departments, but oh well. We can do like a small craft version of it if we want. Anyway, it has Power 4, Shields 3, Scale 2... Power 4, Shields 3, and Resistance 2. As an NPC ship, it's marked as having Proficient Crew. So its crew roll 9 on their Attribute and 2 on their Discipline dice. I have Attribute of 9 and Discipline 2. So they'd be rolling for a target number of 11 and would get a crit on a 1 or 2. For attacks, they use disruptor banks, plasma torpedoes, and a strength 1 tractor beam.
Rather fitting, because the heavy weapons as used by the Tholians in here are heavy disruptors.
Yeah.
I presume they use disruptor beams.
Yeah. This was before the Utopia Planitia book came out, so you could probably replace Disruptor with Tetrion weapons. Anyway.
Or you could hybridize them.
Yeah. For weapons, it has the for special rules, the Spinner has Web Spinner. As long as 2 ships that have the Web Spinner talent are active and at close range, they can use this special ability. While this talent is being used, the Tholian vessels are unable to make normal weapons attacks. An engines plus con task with a difficulty of 1 is attempted based on the lowest stats of the ships involved. For every success, the ship that is being ensnared in the web loses 1 power. All weapons fire at targets outside of the web, including the ships making it, have their difficulty increased by 1. No weapons fire from inside the web is possible if a ship is brought to 1 power or less. Now, the Weaver, the next ship in the other Tholian ship, is a scale 5 starship with comm 6, computers 8, engines 6, sensors 9, structure 11, weapons 10. Department values: it has command 3, con 1, security 2, engineering 3, science 2, medicine 2. It has 6 power, 7 resistance, and 13 shields. Its crew is counted as talented, attribute 10, discipline 3. For attacks, again, it has disruptor banks, plasma torpedoes, and still a strength 1 tractor beam. I'd say that's a typo and it should be strength 4. Anyway, for special rules, it has ablative armor, improved damage control, and a standing graviton field. Oh, this is why it's strength 1. This ship can produce as many tractor beams as it wishes, but they are each strength 1. Basically, it has a tiny tractor beam, but it can use lots of them.
They'd be kind of broken in SFC. Explains why they're not playable, other than the fact that the web is, shall we say, exceptionally complicated.
Yeah.
Anyway. I believe that's good enough for the Tholians. Though I will add this. Every single one of these ships has a very low crew count.
Right.
This is due to the fact that their systems are highly automated, and the fact that there just aren't a lot of Tholians out there. There are more Class M planets out there than there are Class Ys.
Yeah.
Not a lot of planets to colonize.
Yeah.
So, every single one of these ships is going to have a very small crew complement. But they will be equivalent to their kin vessels. For example, the Quartz-class destroyer is still akin to something like the Akula, in spite of the fact that it has 42 crewmen. And this thing, it's akin to the Ulysses.
Right. So we'll give these things scales appropriate to their counterparts.
Just not their crew complement. Kinda why I say the system is kinda broken.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.